Welcome back to the Bearded Butcher's YouTube channel. It's the time of year when hunting season is over, but we've processed our venison. We have the bags of trim in the freezer, and today we have the excitement of making some of that trim into a further processed item. Today, we're making breakfast links. We're starting with our very own Bearded Butcher country style breakfast link. And then we're also going to be doing our Bearded Butcher sage style breakfast links. Who doesn't love breakfast? I know we do. What do you think, Scott? I've got two lugs of trim over here. There's just over 10 pounds of deer trim per lug. I've got two lugs of trim over here. There's just over 10 pounds of deer trim per lug. We're gonna add some pork trim and some pork fat. Let's just get started.
One of the things that Seth didn't mention is that we like to put the deer trim away, put it in the freezer, pull it back out, and split it up kind of any which way you like. So we're taking about 21 pounds of deer. We're adding some pork fat, some pork trimmings, and we're going to have a 25-pound batch that we're then going to split in half. So we can take our packets of Bearded Butcher spices, which are formulated for 25 pounds, and just split those in half. Save the other half of the spice for the next time we get around to processing. So let's just get started by splitting our spices in half. You know, the package is going to say what we have here. In this case, this weighs a half a pound, which is 8 ounces. Or you can, if you have a scale, you can just weigh your packet. But it starts by taking your spices, splitting them exactly in half, and then you have the correct amount for 12.5 pounds. My mouth already began watering just at the smell of this country style seasoning. And you know, one of the things about our spices and the reason why we formulate all of our own blends for not only our butcher shop, but for resale through our website is because they're clean. So a product like this has 0 chemicals, and that's what really led us into the spice business, was wanting a clean label spice for our butcher shop. And that's why we're in the spice business today.
Yep, and the cool thing about this is we're using it for venison today, but this is good for chicken, it's good for turkey, beef, pork, you name it. It's just a very good all-around, all-purpose country style breakfast sausage seasoning.
And the country style does not contain any sage. Some people don't like the flavor of sage. However, our Bearded Butcher sage seasoning, you guessed it, contains sage, which is a very distinct flavor. So we just distinguish between the two by making 2 different blends. But it's really just the same approach to a breakfast sausage. Now this one is a little different in weight, so we're going to be doing 3.5 ounces.
Are you a sage guy?
I do like sage.
I love sage.
I like them both, but like my kids, they would prefer that country style over that sage.
One memory that I have from our childhood was when Dad and Grandpa we'd butcher pigs on the farm. I remember Dad and Grandpa always arguing about how to mix a seasoning. And Dad would always put more sage in and Grandpa would always take it out, but I'm definitely a fan of sage. It reminds me of being a kid.
The seasonings that we're not going to use, these are perfect to just seal them back up, put a little clip on here, a piece of tape, and right on there, this is for 12.5 pounds. Put that away. You can use it again in the near future.
So 12.5 pounds of sage, 12.5 pounds of country style. I have enough 21 millimeter collagen fresh breakfast link style casings. We have these available on our website. There's 3 links in here. This will do 25 pounds. So we'll split these 12.5 pounds each. That pack should do everything we're doing today.
So we've got our pork fat that we get from our butchering here at White Feather Meats that we sell on our website. And we're just going to take these batches of deer meat up to the required 12.5 pounds by adding pork fat. The lug over here is already tared for, so in other words, our scale right here, what we're reading on the scale is the actual true weight of the meat because we've already tared our lug. So we'll just take, it's going to take nearly all of it. take this up to 12.5 pounds. And we're ready to grind this up into some breakfast sausage. Okay, so we're gonna start with the country style because that one's a little milder flavor. So Scott's hot tip, whenever you're seasoning up your sausages, if you have a flavor that is more profound, grind that last. So in this case, we're doing country style first, and then we'll do the sage.
So you said that the country style contains no sage. The question is, does the sage contain country style?
Yes, it does borrow some of the seasoning from the country style. Really, you could go so far as to call it country style no sage and country style with sage. We just chose to call them one country style and the other one sage.
So today we're using the Made with Meat 1 horsepower dual grind grinder with a foot pedal that I just hit. As mentioned before, this is a dual grind. We've showed you in some of our previous videos that it actually has 2 plates in there. So we're actually only going to be running it through the grinder 1 time, but we're getting 2 grinds. So that's what a dual grind means. And then as I grind this, Scott can mix it by hand and get this fat all mixed in there real nice. But you want to start with putting some meat down inside the throat of your grinder. That way your auger doesn't run dry. And then you just get started. But with this dual grind option, you can just chew through a batch of products so fast. I think we timed it once and we ground 25 pounds of trim in under 5 minutes. So it just does a really nice job, as you can see. What do you think of our blend, Scott?
It looks great. It smells even better.
So something to keep in mind, when we process this deer, we made sure that we cut it up into little pieces. So keep that in mind when you're butchering your game meats or your DIY processing, whatever you're doing, to make sure you get your chunks small enough that they grind nice. It's just easier to do that ahead of time.
Time for the sage. So see, you have that similar base country style, but now it's got the chunks of sage in there.
On to the sage.
With a table like this, that can mean only one thing. You're gonna need some of our Bearded Butcher Blend clean spices. In fact, that's why we're in the spice business. We're commercial butchers who realized in order to have clean labeled products, we needed to come up with our own spice formulations. Now, we've got over 100 different combinations available on beardedbutchers.com, so you can go there and grab some of these unique flavors and try them yourself.
We may be commercial butchers, but we can also relate to the home user just like you, because right in front of us is a Ohio white-tailed deer, and you can guarantee we're gonna use some items like our famous maple seasoning to make some bacon, or our dried mushrooms to make some mushroom and Swiss. Go ahead, grab some of our DIY kits, make these at home, and share them with your family and friends. I guarantee you're gonna be impressed.
So we're ready for the stuffing step. We're gonna be using our Made with Meat 15-pound capacity vertical stuffer. And sometimes you'll note, and we do this more or less by feel, this get like a tightness to them. Because we grind the seasonings in, we feel that gives you better flavor. And as a result, you're gonna need to add some water as a lubricant, especially with breakfast links because of the size of the stuffing horn. We're using a 10 millimeter stuffing horn. So by adding water, you're just gonna make that mix much easier to stuff. It's kind of a feel thing, kind of like mixing up a bag of mortar, but put that water in there, it'll make a big difference. In this batch, I added a 16-ounce bottle of water.
So 15-pound stuffer capacity. By the time we added 16 ounces of water, 12.5 pounds of meat and the spices, we'll see if it all fits. It's looking like it'll fit. Should, if it's technically 15-pound capacity. Don't forget, as we've shown, there's a bolt right here. That's an air lock release. You can actually spin this around to where it's in the front so you can see it. And then as that bolt comes up, you want to press it down and release that air. And you can hear it. I can hear it starting to come through the horn here. So at this point, I want to just stop. I'm going to open up our pack of collagen casings, and we'll be able to fit an entire strand of casing on this 10 millimeter horn. Now, as mentioned before in previous videos, this piece right here is not made by Meet Your Maker. This does come off of Amazon. We'll put the link in the description for the 10 millimeter that you'll need for breakfast links and for smokies.
Onto the sage seasoning. Again, we expect to use 16 ounces or so of water. Just makes that process that much easier. Go ahead, just add the rest.
So once we get both flavors into our casing, we are then going to run them through our Z-linker, and we'll get them all linked up. But we're going to get them both out here and coiled on the table, and then we'll start Z-linking. So as you can see, I'm on to the next link of casing, and I've got one more left, so we'll be able to do both batches with that one pack of 21 millimeter collagen.
Time for our Z-linker. This is one of our commercial pieces of equipment that is really handy because it links sausages. Of course, you can cut these by hand, but when you have a machine like this,
just wrapped up both flavors, country style, sage. You can see them, they're all in the lug. The only thing left to do is to sample them, and then we're gonna get these packed up and we're gonna get them in the freezer. You're in the test kitchen now. So we were in the processing room, now it's a test kitchen, all right here in our butcher shop. So I'm just gonna get some butter melted inside our 10-inch skillet, and then going to keep this process pretty simple, but we do want to try these and we want to compare the two flavors. Let's get a couple of our sage. Scott said 2 of each, but I think I'm going to do 4 of each because I'm kind of hungry. See how we can fit them in there best. So those are the sage. Now let's do the country style on this side. So we're going to put them in our skillet just like they're laid in our lug so we can remember which flavor's which, but they're already sizzling. Just wrapping up our cook. These are the sage, and then on the other side here we have our country style. I'm ready to give these a taste. Which one are you going with first?
we'll go with the country style.
The only thing we need is some pancakes and maple syrup.
Hot.
Is it pretty toasty?
First word that comes to mind is classic. Classic breakfast sausage flavor. Just as you would imagine, a nice mild breakfast sausage.
And I'm a breakfast guy, so we've probably
syrup, pancake,
we've
eggs.
probably mentioned this before, but whenever Scott and I are on business and we're traveling or something like that, he never lets me stop and eat breakfast. So I always joked around, said that I'm going to put on my tombstone, should have just stopped for breakfast. So yeah, that's fantastic.
Now on to the sage.
I'm a sage guy, like mentioned, so.
Me too. Again,
That is so good.
that classic comes to mind, but it's the added element of that sage flavor that really brings it home for me. And I understand some people think it's a soapy flavor, some people can't handle it, but for me.
The only thing we're missing is pancakes and sausage and maybe a glass of good old white milk.
Hey, something you guys haven't done in a while.
Oh, we haven't fed
Give me
you.
a bite.
We haven't fed you.
Thank you.
There you go. You're welcome.
That's the country style.
That's amazing.
Very good. So both clean label spices, both are great options, whether you're doing deer, pork, anything, any protein really will work. That's the reason why we're in the butchering and spice business, is we want to be able to bring you the value of a clean label, great tasting, wholesome product.
And don't be intimidated by this process. Breakfast links are one of the harder things to make. I know they're not smoked, and obviously there's a whole level of more processing that goes into a smoked item. But when it comes to a fresh product, these are one of the more difficult things to make. Don't be intimidated by it, because Scott and I did this in just less than an hour. So grab a buddy, grab a spouse, grab a kid, you know, whatever it takes. Produce something like this for your freezer, because we took 25 pounds of trim that was once in a bag in our freezer, and we turned it into 2 different items that are going to be absolutely fantastic, that we can dip into all year long and make sure we eat them before next season and then do it all over again. So
That's right. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching The Bearded Butchers right here on YouTube, and we'll see you next time.
see ya.